What's up, guys? Kyle with High Stakes Trading. So today I'm going to show you something that will definitely help your trading out tremendously, something that's not talked about enough. Time frame alignment, which is pretty much just aligning your higher time frames with your lower trading time frame, pretty much. So for me, I'm a 1 minute trader, right? So my bias and my direction that I should be looking at for like the day, if I'm looking at the chart for the day, I'm going to look at the 4 hour, right? Because if I'm trading the 1 hour, my 4 hour will be my higher time frame for context. And then we have an intraday one, which is the 15-minute. So this is our intraday. So if we got 4 hour, lines up, then we have the 15-minute in between that for the intraday time frame, and then our trading time frame is the 1 minute time frame. So it goes like that. How I use this today, for example, is, I'll show you. So coming into the day, we look on a 4 hour time frame. This was, I'll just leave it. This was, this is the 6 a.m. candle. So coming into the day, this was still looking pretty bearish, right? We popped up into this little 4 hour fair value gap. So I was still looking for a lower. I wanted this little low to get taken out. And that was pretty much my objective. There wasn't really a whole lot else I was looking at for that. So my 4 hour is bearish. Okay, so my 4 hour is bearish. I know that. So if I go down to the 15-minute and coming into market open, here we will do this. Going into the day. So we know the 4 hour is bearish. 15-minute, well, what's the 15-minute telling me? Well, I'm thinking as of right now, it's looking pretty bearish. I don't really see anything bullish as of now. We inversed this gap. We inversed this. So right now, this is what I'm thinking. We got this IFVG right here. So maybe pull back into it, and then we can continue lower and go take out these lows right there. So if we know the 4 hours in line with that, the 15-minute, if we're looking for a pop up into that, get this respected, this little small BPR respected, well, let's go to the 1 minute, and we need to get the 1 minute and align with this. Well, how can we do that? We can do it with an IFVG. We can do it with changing the state of delivery. We could do it with an L1. We can do it with whatever, right? So let's go to the 5 minute too. Let's see what the 5 minute is telling us. So the 5 minute just inversed that gap too, same thing, and it's kind of pulling up into it. So yeah, I'm looking for this to get respected and probably go take out these lows. That's what I'm looking at for right now. That's what the time frame's telling me on those time frames. So let's see if we can find an entry here. Pop up. L1, L2, what is the 5 minute? So at the 5 minute, at 866, we'll make an L1, which is just the bar will, this bar will break the previous bar's low. So that's a bearish signal. So I'm going to take this. And we'll just go aim for, so we're taking this on higher time frame is what we really want to be taking it on. We're just going to aim for the low. And stop loss will be Like about there. So around like a 1 hour. Try to keep it like that. We'll see what that looks like for right now. An expansion up. Alright. And that tags us out. So we can re-examine this now. And this is still respecting this gap, so it's still not telling me anything about being bullish yet. It did just on a 15-minute make an H1. That made an H2, but it's still, I want this to get inversed first, and then we can look at going maybe taking out the highs or something like that. That's what I see there, right? Because our 4 hours also telling us bearish. So I'm not really looking for very much for high probability for scalping upwards. So all right, we'll continue to roll this. That's market open. Okay, so now we got some more information. All right, well now what? Now we have these gaps. And we have this, right? So it looks like this is going to get inversed. So right there, that's our new IFVG if this 15-minute closes, right? That's what we wanted. That was the roadblock. So if this gets inversed now, I'm liking maybe short term up, but now this also just generated equal low, not equal lows, relative equal lows too, right? So it could still, the 4 hours still telling us bearish, but this right now could short term pull into this and then come up into the top of this fair value gap, maybe into these highs if it wants to, but we'll see. That's what the 15-minute is telling me. 5-minute just inversed all these, so I'm expecting, yeah, the same type of thing, maybe some type of pullback, and then a pop up a little bit higher. But that's too bullish right now to buy. So there is a pullback, little pullback right there. Let's look at the 55 now. Okay, well the 5 now went to 50% of this bar, so that's good. A little bit higher right there. See, it tagged 50% of that bar, so that's a good bullish sign. 15-minute, same I mean, still, I don't know what the time is on left, what it has left to do, but still holding above this, which is what we want, so that's bullish. So let's see if we can get an entry here. So there's an H1 entry. Where we at? We just tapped that out. We're in that gap. So this is probably just like that right there. Just see what happens. Not gonna mess with it. Yeah, see. All right. Because our 4 hours still bearish. All I wanted was a little pullback, right? That's all I was anticipating on this. Just a little pullback and pop up. Nothing too crazy. It's counter trend to what I want on my 4 hour. So now let's roll this more. Okay, so now we're coming down into this bull gap right here. Back into the BPR on the 15. We did just have a market structure shift right here. So it's kind of conflicting, right? This 15-minute did come up and tag into this bearish gap right there. And did respect it. So there's, you know, it's kind of conflicting on the 15. On the 5, it could be bullish too, right? You have this pop up, and then we have an L1 that triggered, but it's inside of a bullish gap, so it's not really clear. So for now, right now I would stay out until it becomes a little bit more clear. Okay, see now this made an H1 off of respecting this gap. So now on the 1 minute, it had missed the entry, but so I would be looking to buy an H1, which is a break of a previous bar's high, which would probably be somewhere up here, because the 5 minute is respecting a bullish gap. 15 minute is back in its BPR, or not a BPR, but it's back in, it is from this, it's back in that. So I'm gonna look to be playing it maybe up to this gap, see if we can get a test up to this gap if we get a H1 that triggers. So boom, it triggers there, but I should have got an entry down here. And my TP is only gonna be like a gap fill. Probably it's not gonna be much because it, like I said, 4 hours bearish. And boom, tags us out. Cool. So now, what are we in? Well, now we're in a breaker too, right? We have a high, a low, higher high, a sweep, and then we break down with displacement, and we're back into this breaker right here. But there's also an inversion too, which is even cooler. So I'll just mark out the breaker. So now we are back in there, and then we had this small little BPR too right here, right? So look at that. Oh, sorry. We'll call this one an IFVG. So it comes up, it pulls up into this, which is a really good short signal right here. But the 5 minute is still telling me bullish, and the 15 minute is still possibly telling me bullish too. So I would stay out of this right now. I would want this bigger gap to get inversed, and then I would look for shorts. So it gets respected, boom, down. It's still held. Actually, no, that inversed right there. So now let's look at the market. So now the 15 minute was about to make a L1 at some point in time, because this bar will jump per time frame, so it's kind of tough. This made an L2 and inverse this, so now I would be looking for shorts because we inversed this gap. So now I would be wanting some type of move back into there and then down into this low. So we have this low still hasn't been taken out. That's my target. That's what I'm looking at right now. So I want to try to frame something up on the 1 minute, right, to get that in line. The 15 minute, we're about to make an L1. 5 minute, like we said, just inverse the gap. We're looking for a pullback into the IFVG, possibly expect consequent encroachment of this, and then a move down. So on the 1 minute, we need to get the 1 minute in alignment with that. So right here, we just inversed this, so you could take this IFVG entry, you could take an L1 entry, you could do whatever you wanted. You could wait for it to pop up into this gap. I'm going to get short 2 contracts right here because I liked the IFVG right here. I think that was a good setup, so let's roll this. And then stops will be... so we have that breaker right there. A stop will be at the top of the inversion, somewhere up here. First TP, we'll take it all out at the lows down here. Probably. Let's see what this looks like. And then this at the top of the inversion. Inversion's right there. So something like that. So this pops up, comes up into that bull or that bear fair value gap, drops down. We make an L1 right here. So that was another entry right there. So now we're rocking and rolling, right? We got the 15 in alignment, we got the 5 in alignment, and we have the 4 hour telling us bearish, right? So this should have expansion. This is where we should have expansion. When you get these all in alignment like that. Comes up, respects the gap again. Comes up, taps it again, no problem, whatever. And bam, takes us out, right? And look, this continues to drop. Okay, so now at this point, let's re-examine it. So we can go back on a 15 minute. Well, let's go to the 4 hours, see if 4 hours are different, because we took out our 4 hour objective, right? We wanted this low to get taken out. So now that got taken out. Is there anything else? Well, no, but it is wicking up, right? This is starting to create a wick. So maybe it's going to come rebalance some of this stuff. So maybe we could look for short-term bearish things if we see something. 15 minute, I'm not seeing anything. I don't like anything on the 15. The 5, H1, pullback H2. Okay. What's our speed bump on the road, though? This gap, right? This gap is still getting respected. So maybe this gets inverse and we pull up and come up. So let's see. All right. Well, now there we have it, right? So now the 15 is probably going to create an H1. So look, the 15 is going to create an H1 right there. So we create an H1 right there is our entry. So if we know we got the 15, the 4 hours got a big wick, 5 minute just inverse this gap. Well, now what? Now what do I want? Well, I want a little pullback test into the gap, and I want to see expansion up. What's our draw on liquidity? Well, let's look on a 15 minute. It's not really clear, right? We have maybe an order block right here. We could take an entry at or an exit at, take profit at, and maybe, you know, these highs. It's not very clear. So it's going to be just a quick scalp. It's not going to be anything crazy. So let's see if we can get the 5 minute or the 1 minute in line with this. How would we do that? What does it look like? Well, we know that this 5 minute at this point in time just inversed that 5 minute gap, and we want to pull back down into it to act as support. All right, well, let's see if we get something like that. Okay, pulls back into it, pulls back into it. Now what's our entry going to be? Well, it's going to be an H1, right? What did this do? This came down, this taps right into a bull fair value gap. And is about to make an H1. So if this makes an H1, I'm going to get long. Boom. Entry right there. So I'm going to buy 2. And what's the targets? Well, this is a 5 minute and a 15 minute based off trade, so we have to take targets on that. So we just inversed that. Well, what's the first roadblock? We got this little order block right here. So maybe 70 area will be a first area I'll be thinking about trimming. So let's see what it looks like on here. 70s is that wick, so maybe we'll go to like this candle body high for a first TP, something like that. So now we have the time frames in alignment. Should get some type of expansion. Come down and the gap. There we go, we get expansion, right? So now we're at this candle body's high. And let's see what a 5 is looking like. So we got into that order block, got into it, still looking good. So let's take a profit here, trim one. Just remember the 4 hour is still technically long-term bearish, so we don't want to force anything too crazy. Then we'll run a stop loss, break even. And then the next thing we have here is what? Let's see. What's in our way? Well, we have what, this fair value gap that was still holding price, right? So we gotta see this area, this zone could be tested. Okay, and now we're in it. We just inversed it, came up, but we kind of are not respecting it. So I'm going to move my stop. We have this BPR right here. I'm going to put it like right under that. I don't want to see it lose that level, and I'm going to try to get up into these highs. But let's look at the higher time frame. Is it telling us anything different than to be bearish or bullish? Well, we got H1 was made, pull back to that bar. Nope, I'm still seeing higher prices. There, respected that gap, inversed it, pulled back. Yeah, so no, I don't see any reason to get out yet. It takes us out though. That's okay, part of the game. Okay, but now what do we have? So now we have a high, lower high, higher high, there's sweep, boom, we have a breaker again, right? Right here. So now we can re-examine price again and see if we can find something that realigns with being bearish. Okay, well this came up and came up to the top of this. It's kind of just been a trading range, right? But it's been bearish. So we're at the top end of the kind of the range. We know that an L1 just got created on a 15-minute. 5-minute is looking bearish. It disrespected that gap. So that's a good sign. So maybe we can get lower prices, but the entry should have been somewhere up here. So now we're kind of just chasing it at this point, right? But we can try it. We can see what happens. But we need to get a pullback into something like that pulled back. So we might be a little late, but it's right there. And then we'll take an L1. All right, so let's take this. But we'll just take one contract because it's kind of late to the game. And then what's our 5-minute targets? This low, right? That's our first one. So we'll go there. It'll be a quick little scalp, nothing crazy. Let's see what happens when we get down there. Yeah, so it's just chopping. Oh, bam, alright, tags us out. And you could re-examine it. Still bearish. Yeah, so I'm still seeing bearish. So you could do the same thing, right? This thing popped back up, made an L1. You could try it again. What's the 5-minute target? Now you're in this thing that was BPR in a higher time frame, so maybe that order block, that low. So we'll try it at that low for $1,000 at that, and see if this takes us lower. And our stop loss will be somewhere up here above this high. Bam, it takes us out. And yeah, man, so that's time frame alignment, man. That's just using the higher time frames and getting your 1 minute to kind of flip the trend in a sense, pretty much, right? So if you see a setup on a 5 or a 15, you wait for a 1 minute to flip its trend. You wait for an IFVG, you wait for change in the state of delivery, you wait for an L1 and H1. After it pulls back, pull back to FVG. Like, there's so many different ways that you can get long. You can get long with a breaker or short with a breaker. Like, it doesn't matter what you take to do it, but you have to be using those higher time frames. That is, I promise, your missing piece that you are not doing. So implement it, and promise it's going to help you.